Okay. Okay, we definitely, it's going well. I see you, but I can't see my video. So I'm going to try one more time, and if not, I'm going to go ahead and do this without my video, but you could have your video if that's okay.
Okay, what does it say on the bottom of your Zoom screen?
Let me see here. It doesn't have my video, but my stream service has the video here. So,
but on the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's you can mute yourself, you can stop the video, or
yeah,
start it.
so I think I might be live. I'm just don't have it correctly set up. Let me see here.
Okay. You might have to click on the camera icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So let me try now. Yeah, let me see here. Let me see if I'm live on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we're live, Charlie, but not seeing my video. So let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and shoot it. And then, at least we have you on there. We have some people watching, and we'll get this going, and then I'll edit out this first of it when we do it. Okay.
Okay.
So
according to your Zoom, you're on, your video is on.
let me see. It won't allow me to turn my video on for some reason. I think it's because it's this service here.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna.
Zoom's not allowing you?
Well, no, I have to use a separate service, Charlie, to stream my broadcast. So you literally got to do 10 things to make one thing work these days.
Yes. Okay.
So
okay.
That's when you're live streaming. So for some reason, it's not allowing me to choose my video. I'm going to try one more time here and then plug back in. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We're going to get this going here in the next few minutes. This is live, and sometimes things do not go as planned, unfortunately. And I'm having problems with my video service here. So, yeah, works on my side here. You're already streaming live, go live, stop the ongoing live stream. For some reason, again, my video is not showing. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, I have a separate service where my video is showing, but it's just not working here. Let me see. Okay, I don't want to wait too long here and keep everybody waiting. So let's see if we could at least get my audio sounding okay. I sound okay there, Charlie?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. This is going to be recorded live, Charlie, for the video. So what you're seeing out there, audience, is basically a live broadcast of the Gnostic Warrior. And I'm going to go ahead and start it out because I do an audio version of this. I will edit some of it out, but I will post the live part of it. So we'll begin in about 3 here, Charlie. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Gnostic Warrior, Charlie. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me there, Mo.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I came across your work while researching ways to treat depression and anxiety, and I was really enthralled by the work you've been doing and your book as well. But before we get into that great work that you're doing now, what I like to do is if you could give the audience a little background about who you are and what led you up to writing this book.
Okay. Well, I am a licensed psychoanalyst and mental health counselor for the past 30 years in private practice here in New York City. And for the past 50 years, I've been a psychonaut, one who experiments with psychedelic substances. And when I met Shelley, my second wife, 20 years ago, and she was out of a bad marriage and had never, Shelley had never so much as finished a joint in her life. And I met her, she learned of my experimentation and wanted to try MDMA, or it was really only known as Ecstasy at the time. Uh, I I decided to help her in that desire of hers, and so we did MDMA together for the first time about 19 years ago, and we had a succession of experiences that slowly changed us, deepened our relationship, deepened our intimacy, and love for each other, which was there to begin with, but it made it all the sweeter. And eventually I started realizing that this chemical, I call it the chemical of connection, MDMA, was slowly changing me. And it was making me a better psychotherapist, it was making me a better partner in the relationship, and it was making me happier in the long run. And so I decided that it was time to start writing about it. And that was a 6-year project that culminated this year, actually in November of last year, in the publication of my book, Listening to Ecstasy, The Transformative Power of MDMA. And the book is about me and my relationship with MDMA and all that it's taught me. And it's also about my marriage. And so it's a love story, an adventure story about what happened when two middle-aged people ventured into the forbidden world of psychedelic drug users back in the early 2000s and found that world to be enchanted. And really, it opened our lives to friendship and fun and freedom and a whole other way of relating to each other.
It's an interesting story. You know, I would say mine would be a little bit of the opposite, where I kind of went tail in when I was a youngster. Started out with doing drinking and then marijuana, and then that led to cocaine experimentation, and then LSD and mushrooms. And I believe at the time, I was 14 years old, not really, I would say, mentally there or understood the world when I did those drugs. But it was at that time also where I was turned on to ecstasy. And I remember some of those times when, comparing it to the experiences that I was having with those other drugs and sometimes hardcore drugs like, LSD, it was just a different path. It was, it felt like I was connected to my heart and
Mm.
I was in a different world, and I really didn't really understand it, and I've done it one other time since then. But, again, I hear these experiences. I listen to Joe Rogan. He's had several experts on his podcast talking, about this and the psychonaut experience. But it's interesting to see, someone that might be, straight edge most of their life, and in their middle ages, they decide to either partake in cannabis or MDMA, as in your case as well. Are you finding more people, in their middle ages are finding this, and they're opening their minds and their spirits to it?
What I'm finding, Mo, is that many people who dabbled in psychedelics back in their college days shut the door on them after they got out of college, or got into a committed relationship, or had kids, or just dove into their careers, and then came back 10, 20, 30, even 40 years later and rediscovered these medicines and realized that, okay, I might have closed the door on them years ago for various reasons, but now at this stage in my life, they have a lot to teach me that I wasn't ready for then.
Sure. And you've also studied the chemical compounds. Can you explain to the audience a little bit more about the drug MDMA and exactly what it does and so forth to the audience?
Sure. Uh, MDMA, or methylene dioxymethamphetamine, is a psychedelic drug. It's most accurately defined as, or categorized as, an empathogen, because it deepens a feeling of empathy. It's not like LSD or psilocybin mushrooms or ayahuasca, because it's not hallucinogenic. It's closer to an amphetamine chemically, although it's certainly different from Adderall or Ritalin. But it the effect is that it opens the heart, and opens the heart chakra, and floods your body with your own serotonin and oxytocin, which gives you a feeling of well-being and safety. And that's why when you're in that state, it has a variety of uses. People are using it to heal their PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. They're also using it to heal or regain and reclaim the lost heart of their relationship when that is necessary. Other people use it, as we all know, to dance dance the night away with 1,000 others in wild abandon at a rave. But
Yeah.
it has many uses.
Yeah, it's interesting some of the words that you use, empathogen and empathic. I often talk about the opposite, the dark side of the pathogenic nature of our lives, and maybe drugs and the other drugs like methamphetamine. So when I compare my experiences to using, say, methamphetamine to MDMA, it's like a different road,
Yes.
Um, and I don't like the methamphetamine, even though I've done it quite a few times in my past when I was young. I never partook in it where I did it every day. I didn't like the high where it just took you for hours and wrecked your body, where MDMA was just like a different story. What's the difference in the chemicals there?
There's quite a difference. First of all, methamphetamine will get you high very reliably, but when you come down, it can really be a crash. And it can leave some people craving more, and so many people get addicted to it. MDMA is a much gentler experience. It doesn't give you the type of zippy um, feeling of like you could get up and run through a wall, like like the type of
Like,
feeling you have with with methamphetamine. MDMA is more gentle. It opens the heart. It increases feelings of empathy for those who are around you. I call it the chemical of connection because it helps you connect with yourself emotionally and makes you want to connect with the people in your life and the people in your immediate environment.
it's interesting you keep saying opens your heart. Is there any research into that? I know I'm not trying to call you out there, but it's interesting, because I felt the same way.
Hmm.
Where I feel speed is just like, you drink 10 or 20 cups of coffee, right? And
Right.
it lasts for 20 hours or sometimes 2 days. Where,
Yes.
the other side, it's a totally different. Um, are they using it for anything to cure people? I know depression is an issue, and you had mentioned people who maybe have lost the love in their relationships. Is there any relationship to that, the heart, or any research in MDMA?
Well, the research that has advanced the most is the phase 3 clinical trials now for treating people with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And they're having such success with it that MDMA at the current rate of progress is slated to become a prescription medication by 2023. And there are research trials underway or about to be underway to address depression and anxiety as well, including social anxiety. And they're giving it to autistic people who have social anxiety. And so far, those trials have been very successful.
And is it legal in any states right now for?
No, excuse me, MDMA remains illegal and has been illegal since 1985 and will probably remain illegal until 2023.
And that's on the state and federal level, right?
Correct.
Okay. Even in Oregon, where they're decriminalizing, what does that essentially mean when they're doing that?
Well, when there's a difference between decriminalization and legalization. Legalization is much further along. Decriminalization simply means that it's it's no longer going to be prosecuted as a crime if you are in possession of a certain substance. So, but it doesn't open the door to a place where a dispensary where it can be sold, where you have dispensaries that sell marijuana, for example, like in Oregon or that's coming in Oregon and Colorado, I mean, you have those dispensaries. That's legalization. Decriminalization simply means it's no longer going to be prosecuted.
But on the federal level, the feds can come in there in any state, whether if it's decriminalized and if you have something and bust you for a federal crime. Because I've seen that here in California with cannabis.
Yes. And so there's this ongoing tension between the feds and certain states around that. And it will be interesting to see how the Biden administration treats this issue.
Sure. Have you seen personally anybody change besides yourself where it's made a huge difference in their lives?
Oh my goodness, yes. I've seen many people, really people I've known who swear by MDMA. And I must say right off the bat, a little disclaimer here, that what I'm talking about is my personal experience, my wife's experience, my friend's experience. It's not for everyone. There's a chapter in my book, A Guide to Safe Use, that is to minimize the risks and maximize the benefits, and will tell you who should not use it, because there are certain people who should not use it. But the people I've known and the people I've met in the psychedelic community here in New York City for the past 15, 20 years, so many of them believe that MDMA has made a positive difference in their lives and in their relationships.
And what would you say in regards to use? the Gnostics, this is the Gnostic warrior. They had this famous saying, know thyself, and then also nothing in excess.
Hmm.
I believe the two sayings could be said to basically anything, any substance, right?
Yes.
That we use, whether that be food, whether that be drugs, whether that be exercise, whether that be the computer or anything.
Yes.
Excuse me. So what would you say as far as the use, or I know it's different for everybody, right? That's the know thyself. But what is too much? And have you seen any ill effects possibly from that too much?
Yes. I just to answer that last part first, you can abuse MDMA like you can abuse any drug. And I have seen a small percentage, I'd say under 10% of the people I know, maybe 5% of the people I've known, who abuse it, who use it too much, who get habituated to it. And that, of course, can cause all sorts of health and psychological issues. But most people have had good experiences with it. And because they follow certain guidelines and moderation, like you just mentioned, there's Mo, is a true guideline. You have to know what your body can tolerate and tell yourself the truth about it. And so for me, up here in my early 70s, the truth for me is I can't tolerate it more than 5 or 6 times a year. I have to space out these experiences. When I was younger, I could do it once a month with no problem. But as I got older, I couldn't. And so everyone has to find their way. And
Sure.
what's good for one person is not necessarily good for the other, but often less is more. It's such a magical experience for those who it works well with that you want to keep the magic by not doing it too much.
I like that saying, less is more. I'm realizing that as I get older, I was one of those more is good, right?
Yes.
And kind of the tough guy mentality. And as I get older, I'm going to be 50 here this year, and I'm realizing that it's from drinking to exercise to, staying up late. I mean, all that type of things, you have to start balancing it. And I'm realizing it, I'm cutting back on things and reeling it in the excess, whether that be food, whether that be drinking, those things that start to hurt you. Again, I know this isn't, in religion and Christianity, they might say you're being a glutton, and you're you're just
Mhm.
overdoing it, and I would say in this aspect, and again, it's know thyself and doing those experiences. What did it take for you to realize that you were doing it too much? Was it just your body? Is there some type of recovery period after?
Yes, my mantra is listen to your body. And I had to listen to mine because my body was telling me in no uncertain terms that I couldn't do MDMA, for example, or any other drug or drinking or anything like I could 10 or 20 years before. So it was telling me by catching cold, getting sore throats, getting a bronchitis, if I was doing it too much, too often. So I don't like being sick, so I had to pare down. And since I pared down, I don't get sick, or very rarely do I get sick. So I had to listen to my body, which is sometimes, we all sometimes get into denial about when our body gives us signals that we don't want to hear. But I had to listen, and I'm glad I did.
When you were younger or prior to, experimenting with MDMA or anything else, what was your thoughts about drugs such as this?
Well, when I was younger, it was just for fun for me. It was just purely recreational. And not only MDMA, but other psychedelics as well. And I enjoyed it on that level. As I got older, I wanted to explore the spiritual aspects and the psychological, emotional healing aspects of these medicines and realize that that's what they are. They're medicines, they're not drugs. and to really respect the power of them, and to use them with with great respect, if not reverence.
And your wife, she feels the same as you, and is she also still experimenting occasionally, or do you do it together?
We only do it together, or unless we do it together with friends as well. But it's not the type of drug or medicine that I want to do alone. If one or two times I've done MDMA alone, I felt like I was all dressed up and nowhere to go, because it really is a medicine that, for me, coaxes me, urges me to connect with someone else. And so I like to do it with my wife. And sometimes we gather, or we've joined a group, a gathering of friends, and very well selected friends. And I've done it as a group, and that's been a whole other experience. It's been quite marvelous.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would love to do that, with my wife. It's just something that it's like you had said, well, it's illegal, number one. So it would be hard to connect with the right people sometimes to do that. What do you
Yes.
recommend to people that would like to look into this? Of course, you have your book. Would you read the book? What else would you recommend to them?
Besides reading my listening to Ecstasy,
Yeah.
I would go on the MAPS website. That's MAPS, maps.org. This is the organization that has spearheaded the research, and they have a wealth of information about MDMA and other substances. Also, Erowid, Erowid, Erowid.org is a place where people have posted their trip reports for the past, 15 years or so. Also a wealth of information about MDMA and other substances. These are good places to learn.
Yeah, MAPS is something that's really a great organization that's doing a lot of work in this field, and also with, psilocybin, Amanita muscaria, and the different research there as well. Are you involved with that organization?
Well, we've helped build the MAPS community here in New York City over the past 15 years by hosting annual potluck dinners for anyone in the local MAPS community. And that has been a great source of joy, because we've met so many wonderful people that way.
Definitely. Is there any other books out there or research that people can do? Where I'm really interested, Charlie, here is the research for the mental illness and the people out there that might be suffering, as well as the people that can enhance their lives and maybe be more empathetic with their lives. But I'm wondering if there's any research out there or books or drugs that would be beneficial to those people out there that might be suffering from depression or mental illness. And I know, again, MAPS is doing that research.
Yes, a great book to read is Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, which came out in 2018 and hit the top of the New York Times bestseller list. And Michael is a wonderful writer and a journalist besides, and he dove headfirst into experimenting with these substances, though not MDMA, but other substances, and wrote about it brilliantly. And so that's one book I would recommend.
Great.
And yes, yes. And as far as drugs are concerned, I would not make a blanket statement or to encourage anyone to do any drug if they're suffering from depression or anxiety without first looking into what these medicines do, by going on the MAP site or the Erowid site, or reading Michael Pollan's book, or reading my book.
I'm glad you said that, Charlie. There's a lot of people out there and so-called experts that are literally advocating that people kind of dive head first without them doing the research and the precautionary research and gaining the knowledge and the gnosis, I like to call it, to know thyself, to see if any of these drugs are right, whether that be MDMA, whether it be just cannabis, whether it be having a drink, or whether it be Amanita muscaria or psilocybin. These things are serious, and people could have different reactions to them as well. So it's important then also they have someone maybe such as yourself or a local group, and in the past, I would consider you, Charlie, say there in New York, you're like a shaman of MDMA. You understand this, right? So, the people that know you, I'm sure, look to you for that knowledge. And when they do decide, or whatever it might be, you're that person that they do it with, because you do have that knowledge. And I think that should be in every field, or every drug should be taken, that way and with precaution.
That's a great point, Mo. And there were really three stages to these experiences. The first we already mentioned, which was the preparation, and setting the stage, having the right mindset going in, having the right control of your environment. We call that set and setting. The second stage is the experience itself, of course. And that's best done not alone. It's best done with an experienced guide, if you can find one in your area who can sit for you, who's going to stay sober during the experience and be there for you and guide you through it. And then the third stage is what we call the integration stage, which is afterwards, after you come down. So it's not just an experience, good, bad, or anything in between, and then it's done. No, you want to see how to integrate this into your life, because often these experiences give you a lot of knowledge, not a lot of information about you and your place in the world, and your own demons, your own potential, and how to live a better life. And so the integration phase afterwards is crucial. And for that, you need a psychotherapist or a shaman or a counselor or somebody who's experienced with these medicines to help you to talk it out, help you talk it out, and show you how to grow from these experiences.
That's great that you say that, because there's things that were shown during these experiences. And I even remember when I was younger, and then when I got older and I understood more what I was doing, when I partake, say, in mushrooms or anything else of that kind, I was always shown a message during that time, and it always was dealing with what was happening in my life, and it was always a mirror on my demons, on what I was doing wrong, and then also something that I needed to do that would be right. And it always dealt with love and simple little things, from, loving your wife and your children and spending more, just these simple thing. And the answer is them, not you, stupid, just, all
Yeah.
these simple messages I would get. And it really would be humbling to me. And I really would take those home. And those are the messages that I would remember. Even though I've had hundreds of experiences, those were the messages that I would always remember, and that I feel that always changed me as a person.
Yes, I like what you're saying. Those simple messages of being generous to the people around you, emotionally generous, and expressing gratitude and appreciation to them, and kindness to them. Just those simple things can really vastly improve your relationships and your quality of life.
Yeah, and I believe it's because we're so busy in this Western world, whether it be business and trying to make a living, and we're busy hustling or whatever it may be in our lives, whether it be business or work, or just trying to make a living, that we forget about those simple things. We forget about connecting with our heart. We're living in our head too much, and that's why
Yes.
I love that you had said it helps connect to your heart. So after you do these MDMA experiences, you believe the lasting effect from that and connecting to your heart just continues on and on.
Yes. And I am one who spends an inordinate amount of time in my head. And I've always been that way. My brain must generate 10,000 thoughts a day.
Me too.
Uh,
Yeah.
they call it the monkey mind. And,
Yep.
those who teach meditation will talk about the monkey mind. The thoughts are always chattering. And so MDMA has helped me ground myself and anchor myself more in my body and more in the moment, because what my mind is often chattering about is what just happened or what I wish I had done or the couldas, wouldas, shouldas, or the future and what I might do or shouldn't do, and all the anxieties and worries about the future. All that means that I leave the moment, which is where, let's face it, we live. And so MDMA reminds me to stay in the moment. And that's been very powerful for me and helps me be a lighter and happier person.
Yeah, it seems that it would be a great medicine, as you say, for people possibly that might have violent tendencies or suicidal tendencies, and again, depression, because that's where I see it working with people that are having, issues with that because they're stuck in their head and often they're alone. I see if those people got into some type of group therapy, with a counselor and someone like yourself and doing it could do a lot of good for our society, because I believe that, a lot of people are suffering from a lack of love, whether it's at home from their parents, because they're too busy, and they're stuck in their head, or broken homes, so we have this, I believe, a society, where people, 50% are ending in divorce and broken homes. And, we're all the children of those eras of broken homes and depression. It seems like it would help a lot. So do you see this possibly being a medicine, as you had said, in the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you bring up something that's very dear to my heart about this issue of tending to stay in one's own head and tending to isolate. I believe, and it's my experience as a therapist and just what I've observed somebody who's watched the culture over the past 70 years, that this is a particular issue for men. Not that a lot of women don't isolate themselves or aren't lonely, but men, we are more socialized to be rugged individuals, to not need anyone, and to not be so relationship oriented as many women are. I think it's one reason we die sooner. And so men tend to want to tough things out on their own, figure things out on their own. But as human beings, we really do need each other. We're not meant to be alone. We're really hardwired to be part of a tribe, to belong in a community, not only just a relationship with a significant other, but a whole community. That's really what makes us happiest.
It's interesting you say that, Charlie, because I think of myself, because, I have a great family, a loving wife who I call my best friend, and I'm very happy, and beautiful children, and I'm very busy, but I'm also seeking community, whether that be brotherhood or people such as yourself, and I see that with people that even go on YouTube and Facebook groups and come and watch my videos and my podcast, and we're all kind of together, but we're alone though. It's
Yes,
this weird thing is where we're each, I'm alone here. I'm going to be alone the rest of the day. You're probably alone, except for your significant other. And of course, with COVID going on right now,
yes.
we're
That's,
all alone, but we're
that's a
all connected, but all divided. It's just such a weird time, Charlie.
it's a weird and unnatural, unnormal time, and hopefully it's coming to a close this year. Whether it's because of the vaccines or herd immunity or whatever, I think we've seen the worst of this. Let's hope, and we might get a chance this year to be back to be able to be with each other without this dread fear of making each other sick. And so somebody who might have a tendency towards anxiety or depression might find that tendency exacerbated with COVID and quarantine and isolation. And it has created a lot of mental distress for so many millions of Americans, actually. And it's part of the fallout from this crisis that we've been going through.
Definitely. I found one of the best things that I could do personally, and if I could give any advice out there, and maybe you could agree because you're one of the experts here, is actually doing things, and keeping busy, getting out of my head, whether that be, exercising or actually creating videos or articles and things for my website. So I found tremendous satisfaction in creating things and actually doing things, not necessarily business. I feel like business I have to do to make the money, I'd rather sit here and talk to you and, do things. And a lot of this stuff doesn't make a lot of money, I'm sure, as you know, right?
Yes. But you're leaving out an important element of what you're doing, Mo, which is you're not only doing things, you're doing things for others. This is your way of serving the larger community. And that's really a key to mental health, in my opinion, and to getting out of our own heads and being so I oriented and learning to be more we oriented, to learn that I am in essence a we, part of a we. And that means relating to the people in our lives and the world at large and seeing what we can give. And that's so that helps us. We receive by giving.
That's awesome. You said that. You tugged at my heart there, Charlie. Um, the reason
I'm glad.
being, I've been doing this actually for about 12 years, and
Hmm.
yeah, and it's been a while, off and on. But I decided a long time ago, rather than trying to make money off of this and it be about that, I'd rather just serve and in my own way start a business and make money to do this on the side, because this is what I love to do, and talk about what I want to talk about rather than maybe what's trendy or what's viral, or what's political, and be big and talk about news all day. I can't do that. I just feel inauthentic.
Hmm.
Um, so it's great. I feel a lot of satisfaction being authentic, and then also, as you had said, that's what I'm doing. I didn't realize that I'm serving people with my knowledge and with these podcasts and with these videos, and trying to share some of my path, and then taking people along with the journey. So thank you for reminding me
You're
that.
welcome.
So that's why you're a psychotherapist,
I
right?
guess
You're
so.
doing it right now on me. No, just kidding.
I won't charge you too much.
Okay, cool. All right, Charlie, let me ask you this. Take us on a little journey. Possibly you take some MDMA with your wife. What are you starting to feel? How long? Can you give us a little maybe rundown of maybe a little
What a
dose of
journey
that?
looks like?
Yeah, please.
Uh, sure. Well, first of all, we have the proper set and setting. So that means we have the right mindset going in, the right expectations. We might talk to each other about our intentions for the day, and the setting, which more often than not is our home, a setting that we feel like we have control over. Though every now and then we've done it at a party or other kind of celebration, or even a festival, rock festival, um, or a local Burning Man festival. And we will drop the medicine after having a good night's sleep before and having a nice breakfast. And after an hour and a half, 2 hours after breakfast, we'll drop our dose, which these days is a fairly moderate dose for us, and wait for it to hit, which for us is usually anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes it takes to hit, and to be patient during that time. And then when it hits, there's a climb when MDMA comes on. And the climb can feel a little disorienting, just a little. Some people experience a little queasiness, nothing severe, as it takes effect. And there can be also a great feeling of elation as it takes effect. And that climb will last 10 minutes, it could last 30 minutes. And then you hit a plateau, which for me is this wonderful feeling of elation, this great feeling in my body, this great ability to and desire to connect with my wife. That's why I call this medicine emotional superglue for couples. And so Shelley and I will speak, we'll envision the future together, we'll listen to music, we'll dance, uh, we'll just hang out and feel like we're hanging out in heaven, actually. And it's it's just for us a 1 day vacation from normal reality. And halfway through the experience, about 2.5 hours to 3 hours of the high, we will boost, which is very common with MDMA. And the way you boost is generally take half the original dose. So Shelley, for example, takes 100 milligrams of MDMA. She will then boost 3 hours into the high with another 50 milligrams to extend the experience. And that will make it last longer. So with the boost, it will last 4, 5, 6, 7 hours in that range. And then we slowly, gently come down. And when we come down, we might at times only in the come down add a little cannabis to the mix and smoke a little, especially if we want to retreat into the bedroom. And then we just allow it to come down, and then we are in the state of afterglow. And important to us is then afterwards have a good replenishing meal. Usually she makes a nice hearty soup, and then a really long sleep, which because I'm 71 years old, I need 10, 11 hours of sleep, which is glorious. It's delicious for me to sleep that long. And then the next day I wake up refreshed and with a real wonderful afterglow. And so does Shelley.
Sounds wonderful. That it was interesting. I kind of giggled a little bit when you'd said like a date in heaven. I believe that's how you. That was
Mm-hmm.
just like that
Yeah.
sounds great. Because I really cherish those moments with my wife, and I feel we're in love. Even when we don't have MDMA. So I could just imagine, if we were to do it together and partake and have
Yes.
an experience like that. Just it sounds fun.
Yes. Yes. And with couples, I need to warn people out there, it does open the heart. And sometimes what's inside that heart is not all rainbows and lollipops. There can be all sorts of feelings. So if you're doing it with a partner and there's been tension between the two of you, which is usually the case, usually long-term partners have some kind of ongoing tension or some unresolved issues. We all do. Those may come out during that MDMA experience, and you might need to allow for them and not freak out if, oh my God, this is not heavenly. It could be intense, and you might, but intense in potentially a very good way, because things can come out that you've been withholding, hurts or anxieties or irritations or frustrations, and you then have an opportunity to talk about them in this feeling of safety and well-being that the medicine bestows.
I find it interesting, not just yourself, but other people that describe their experiences, and they'll mention heavenly and so forth. And I would assume you're not really religious, right, Charlie? Or
Well, a religious person would not call me religious,
Okay, gotcha.
um, but
Would you?
I do pray every day
Okay.
because that simply works very well for me.
So yeah, you're not an atheist then.
No.
Okay, good. And have you seen people possibly that were maybe atheist or people that were non-spiritual and they tried MDMA and it changed their outlook on the world and life possibly?
What I've seen over time in the psychedelic community is people who were atheists trying not only MDMA, but LSD or ayahuasca or psilocybin mushrooms, and then realizing, okay, maybe the God I was taught about at church or synagogue or by the culture is not the God that I believe in, but there's something out there and in here that's greater than me, and I'm part of it. And there's something that eternal going on here. And maybe there's some essence of me that was here before I took physical form and that will go on after I leave a physical form. And so they start having these thoughts that come after such an experience and realize that, well, I might not be religious per se, the way I've thought about religion, but there's something spiritually real to me now.
I love the way you explain that. That's perfect. Like 2 minutes, like succinct. And I believe, because I was that person where I grew up actually Catholic, and then I believe I turned atheist and didn't believe in religion and God. And then I had these experiences. I wouldn't say all of them were great, but over the time, and then also gaining knowledge and reading about philosophy and history and religion and these different things that I learned a lot about our past. So that turned me back to spirituality and religion, to where, I'm not an atheist, of course, anymore in
Hmm.
my thinking. So I
Yeah.
definitely agree. So, Charlie, I really appreciate you coming on the Gnostic Warrior today. And can you tell the audience where they could find your great work and your book?
Oh, well, sure. Be happy to. Listening to Ecstasy can be found on Amazon. It can be found on the Simon and Schuster website, and um, uh, and it's a paperback version. The audio version comes out next month in March, and it's very easy to obtain.
Great. Are you doing the audio yourself, or did you hire
I
someone?
did the audio by myself, and it will be out next month.
Awesome. That's easier said than done, too, right?
Yeah, it's a whole job in itself, but I wanted to give voice to my voice, so to
Definitely.
speak.
And thank you for coming on. And again, sorry that the video didn't work on my side. We're doing a live stream today, and I was trying to get my video going, and for some reason it's not working because we're streaming both to my Facebook page and a YouTube. But thank you for your patience again, Charlie. And do you also have a website you could direct people to?
Yes, you can go to listeningtoecstasy.com, and there you can find me and a way to contact me if you wish.
Terrific. Thank you for your time today, and I wish you the best in your great work.
Thank you, Mo, and I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and continue to do. So thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, buddy.
Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.